Good afternoon. The Mayor's Executive Committee is meeting today, and issues around snow removal are at the top of the agenda.
The city's working to avoid a repeat of last winter when many residents were left stranded when their streets were not cleared following a major snowfall. CTV's Beth Macdonell is live at City Hall and joins us with more details. Beth.
Nathan, the Executive Committee has been doing a deep dive on what many considered to be a failure when it came to snow removal and snow clearing this past winter across the city. And across the city in the first half of February, more than 90 centimeters of snow fell, a record amount that proved to be a challenge for the city. Equipment broke down, sidewalks and transit stops were impassable, and thousands of calls to 311 for help were ignored. The mayor says on top of that, city reports about the jobs being done didn't match what people were seeing on the streets, which she says needs to change. Council ordered a review, and now there is a new plan in place. It involves improving snow removal, improving 311 response, creating a central command team to deploy resources when there is a big snowfall, buying equipment and doing repairs, and improving communication with residents.
This was a disaster for many reasons. It was politically costly. I'm glad we're doing this post-mortem and review, and we're going to hopefully improve the situation. But again, why did it happen? Who's responsible? Who's accountable? Was anybody reprimanded? Was there severe dereliction of duty or negligence on the part of any city staff? And if there was, were they sanctioned? We want to know, because we can't enable a culture of mediocrity where mistakes are swept under the rug.
This plan will give us immediate improvements and set us up for long-term success. It's about keeping our city running, keeping people safe, rebuilding trust. So when it snows, Toronto is ready.
The acting director of winter and seasonal maintenance told the meeting the city could have done better this past winter with snow removal, but is confident in the updated plan if there is another big snowfall this year. Reporting live, I'm Beth Macdonell. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. Toronto homeowners can now submit their 2025 vacant home tax declarations. All residential property owners in the city must file a declaration, even if the property is their primary residence. Those who do not may have their property deemed vacant and the tax applied. Declarations can be made over the phone, in person, at City Hall or any civic center, or through the city's online portal. The deadline is April 30th. The tax is set at 3% of a property's current value assessment.
A 31-year-old man and 20-year-old woman have died following a collision in Brampton Saturday. The crash happened in the area of Queen Street and Shinkuzi Road. One victim was pronounced dead at the scene, while the other later died in hospital. Police say the driver of the other vehicle, who cannot be identified as they are under 18 years old, has been charged with dangerous driving causing death and failure to comply with demand.
Police are searching for a man wanted for assault with a weapon and forcible confinement.
Right now, we're looking for James Irwin Allen Davey. It's alleged that between February of this year and October, that he committed several offenses against a person that was known to him. Some of those offenses include assault, assault with a weapon, forcible confinement, theft, just to name a few. And we are actively looking for him. We have been looking for him for over a month now, and we have come up short. So right now, we're just appealing to the public that if they see him, to please call 911.
46-year-old James Irwin Allen Davey is 5'10" with a heavy build, balding with short gray hair and green eyes. He's accused of targeting a victim near Bathurst and Eglinton between February and October. Police say the suspect and victim are known to each other.
Police are investigating after a North York synagogue was vandalized for a 10th time overnight. 4 windows were smashed at the synagogue on Bayview Avenue. Police say they're searching for a suspect described as being in his late teens to early 20s, said to have a thin build, and was last seen wearing a medical mask and a dark blue jacket or hoodie. Police have not indicated that the incident is being investigated as a hate crime.
An investigation is also underway as a number of students and staff have fallen ill at a Catholic school in Ancaster. Hamilton Public Health Services released a statement which reads in part, HPHS was notified on November 3rd, 2025, of several individuals who developed symptoms of diarrhea and vomiting between October 31st and November 3rd, 2025. Based on the information available, the illnesses are most consistent with viral gastroenteritis, commonly known as stomach flu. We're committed to protecting the health and well-being of our community. HPHS has been in contact with the school and is working closely with staff to support enhanced infection prevention and control measures. At this time, we cannot confirm the number of cases, as the number of affected individuals can fluctuate as reports come in from the school. Most cases appear to be mild and consistent with viral gastroenteritis, which typically resolves within a few days without medical treatment.
Back here in Toronto, several on and off ramps along the Don Valley Parkway will be completely closed each night for a couple of weeks. The city says the closures will impact all DVP Bayview and Bloor ramps until approximately November 14th. The ramps will be off limits from 9:30 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. The closures are to accommodate rehabilitation work along the expressway. The city says drivers should plan their travel in advance, allow for extra time, and follow posted signage.
And we have more news in a moment, but first, here's a live look at the city this afternoon. We do have some sunshine and mild temperatures today, so enjoy it because things look to change again tomorrow, and it seems like things are going back and forth all week. Lindsay Morrison's here with a look at the current conditions. Hey, Lindsay.
Hey, Nathan, you're absolutely right. Conditions are going to flip back and forth throughout the rest of the week, and by the weekend, we could be dealing with some mixed precipitation. But let's talk about today. Today could easily be our nicest day of the week, so get outside, take advantage. It is 12 degrees right now in most parts of the GTA. It is still breezy out there, not quite as windy as it was yesterday, but the winds are coming out of the west and gusting upwards of 40, even 50 kilometers per hour in some cases. They'll ease somewhat tonight and then pick up again as the week goes on. Here's the satellite and radar. Beautiful sunshine, little bit of a lake effect shower making its way off of Georgian Bay, and a little more cloud further south toward London and Niagara. Here's today at a glance. Forecast daytime high 13 degrees. This is above seasonal. 9 is our average temperature this time of year, so you've got the warmth coupled with the sunshine, and it's a great looking day. We're going to talk about some periods of rain in the forecast starting tomorrow coming up. For now, Michelle, I'll send it over to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Well, Remembrance Day is exactly a week away, and Canadians are finding ways to honor those who gave their lives to defend our country.
Now in Ontario, a retirement home has found their own special way to pay tribute. CTV's Katie Griffin has the story.
All right.
Inside these boxes,
I think you're gonna need more cards.
yeah, precious cargo.
I did 225 myself, and it's been a joy to do them for the kids.
Noella Claroux is a resident at Kentville Retirement Living. She and others knitting hundreds of Izzy dolls.
We had a knitting club on Tuesday, and we all got together and we all knit.
The dolls, symbols of friendship and peace, are named after Master Corporal Mark Isfeld. He was killed by a landmine while on tour in Croatia 31 years ago. Before his death, his mom made dolls he distributed to children wherever he went.
We have 883 Izzy dolls with us today.
His legacy living on.
It's amazing. In one swoop, they've given us more dolls than we raised all of last year.
The group donating the dolls to the Canada Aviation and Space Museum.
So what we do with them is after November, we pile them together and we send them over to Health Partners International Canada, HPIC, who use them as packing materials for their medical kits that they send out to places in need.
Dolls are then distributed to local children.
And of course, I had to hop on board. We had so many donations of wool, every different color and kind, and it was just fun to pick out different ones and make our own creations.
It's something to do together. A lot of these ladies would knit in their room before, and now they come and they gather in the main lounge and they knit together.
Making a big impact, one tiny doll at a time.
Really like a picture of kids receiving them to put up in our home.
Katie Griffin, CTV News, Ottawa.
The federal government is set to unveil its budget today. It will be the Liberals' first fiscal update in nearly a year. It will also be the first budget for Prime Minister Mark Carney. Government House Leader Stephen McKinnon says the document will prioritize affordability.
A budget that brings down taxes for for Canadians, a budget that brings down taxes and GST for first-time home buyers, a budget that makes life more affordable.
The Conservatives have said they want to look at the budget before they decide whether to support it or not. But if they do not support this budget, it will force the Liberals, who are 3 seats shy of a majority, to rely on the NDP to pass the document. If it fails to pass in the House, the government will fall and an election will follow. In order for the budget to pass, the Liberals will need some opposition to vote in favor or abstain. And for more on the budget, we're joined live by CTV's Colton Prale, where it is a big day in Ottawa. Colton, a matter of hours now before we find out what's in it. What can you tell us about what we're expecting to see in the budget?
Yeah, some new reporting this morning as far as what's going to be in there, including the biggest line item to date that we know of. There may be others, but this is the biggest we can report on. First reported by the Globe and Mail, confirmed by CTV News, a $50 billion 10-year local infrastructure fund. Now, this is funding from municipalities that will target things like water mains, sewer mains, but also public transit, and crucially, have a developed or a designated stream for community health care. Now, Mark Carney ran on a campaign to increase community health care spend by $4 billion. It's unclear if that campaign promise is tied directly to this funding or if it's different, but we do know there will be a community health care component in this $50 billion municipal funding stream. That includes things like hospital construction. On top of that, we also know that there is funding for bringing in top talent from the U.S. and the rest of the world. $1 billion. Mark Carney has talked for months about trying to capitalize on the changing political climate in Washington, trying to bring back some of those American scientists who may have lost their jobs in public office or in public departments. This is what that is aiming to do. The other big question was all about the savings. Where are they coming from? How are we finding it? Obviously, there is a lot of focus on the public service, but I can also tell you that this government says they will be saving tens of billions of dollars over the next 5 years. I've been told it is significantly higher than $25 billion. So watch to see where exactly that's coming from. Part of it's going to be cutting things like Justin Trudeau's pledge to plant 2 billion trees by 2031. That is getting axed in this budget. Part of it's going to be changing the maintenance and life cycle for Canada's aging military fleets. All the ships that are coming offline, we're buying new ones. Those might be retired sooner under this new budget, so watch for that as well. But certainly the biggest details that we're looking to see at this point in time are still the savings and the impacts of those cost-saving measures.
And as we await the tabling of the budget, there's new Nanos data, which is giving us a look at what Canadians are actually looking for in this budget. What does the polling show?
It's a tightrope that Mark Carney has to walk, but in this new polling, it appears as though he has a little more political goodwill to spend a little larger. 2 years ago, 35% of Canadians said that they were okay with carrying a larger deficit if it meant spending on programming. Now that number is up to 47% and is in a statistical tie with the number of Canadians who are looking to see us tackle the deficit and bring that down itself. It means that there is, according to Nanos, more of an understanding in the populace that there is a need to spend big. And you even see that when you look at the specific priorities that Canadians are focused on. Healthcare is still number one, but 2 years ago it was almost 1 in 2 Canadians. Now it's closer to 1 in 3 Canadians. There's a newfound focus on infrastructure, which has doubled among Canadians' priorities in the last 2 years, from 6% to 12%. It's the third most popular line item in what Canadians want to focus on. You're seeing new focuses on housing, on defense, on inflation reduction, tariff reduction, all of those, which didn't show up in the polling 2 years ago. Canadians are focused on a wide priority of issues, and it's going to require spending to do it. And Mark Carney having what appears to be a little more leeway is good news for him. But as Nick Nanos told me over the weekend, it doesn't mean he can go crazy. Have a listen.
I don't think this is carte blanche for the Liberal government to continue to run deficits forever. But I think what it is a recognition that investment in things like infrastructure, things that help the economy, things that could potentially create jobs, that there's a lot more political license for that now than in the past.
And of course, the challenge that he runs into is that affordability still is the key concern among Canadians. And so while that spending does increase, we know that the opposition has done a very good job of tying their messaging that spending equals inflation. And you see it there in the priorities. Inflation is something that Canadians want tackled as well. So the size of that deficit, what it ends up actually coming out to, that's going to be something to watch.
CTV's Colton Prale live for us on Budget Day in Ottawa. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
And we have CTV News special coverage of Budget 2025, hosted by Chief Anchor and Senior Editor Omar Sachedina and Chief Political Correspondent Vashi Kapelos. Our coverage begins this afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern on CTV News Channel and ctvnews.ca. The federal industry minister says she's launching a dispute resolution process against Stellantis.
It's aimed at forcing the automaker to return production to its Brampton facility after it announced last month it was moving the work to a plant in Illinois. CTV's Mike Couture has the details.
If you make promises and then walk away, you will be held accountable.
A blunt message for Stellantis from the federal government. Before being questioned by a parliamentary committee, the industry minister said Ottawa is going after the car maker.
We'll start the 30-day period of the formal dispute resolution process in order to bring back production at the Stellantis Brampton facility.
In October, Stellantis announced it was moving production of its Jeep Compass from its Brampton, Ontario plant to Illinois. In response, the government capped how many vehicles Stellantis and GM can import tariff-free into Canada. Going to the dispute resolution process could be risky, according to this trade lawyer, because the automaker could play hardball.
I think what they would say is, look, Canada, if you really want to do this, take this approach, then, we might give you your money back and say goodbye to you.
And your government committed thousands, millions, and billions.
In a sometimes combative exchange, Conservative members of the parliamentary committee demanded to know if the contract with Stellantis spelled out job commitments in Brampton. Documents related to the building of the battery plant in Windsor, obtained by CTV News, clearly state Nexstar Energy and Stellantis committed to creating and maintaining 2,500 jobs at that plant. The contract for the Brampton plant has not been released.
She could have been very clear if her government made a 3,000 job commitment for Brampton or a broader Canadian footprint agreement. She was not clear on that. That tells me there isn't one.
Minister Jolie told the committee the car plants in Windsor and Brampton are linked, as are the contracts, adding MPs will be able to see that when the Brampton contract is presented at another committee. Mike Couture, CTV News, Ottawa.
U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs are expected to be a focal point of today's federal budget. The tariffs have been a major focus of Canada's premiers as questions continue to swirl about the impact of Ontario's anti-tariff ad, which scuttled trade talks with the U.S. CTV's Scott Hurst has been following this story and joins us live with more. Scott, what's the latest from the provincial leaders?
Nathan, all of Canada's premiers have stood up and pushed back against the economic threats coming from the White House, arguing, of course, tariffs are not just harmful for Canadians, but also Americans and overall the American economy, some more forceful than others, some much more public than others. Of course, as we know, most notably Ontario Premier Doug Ford running ads south of the border, the anti-tariff ads that drew the attention of U.S. President Donald Trump and also really got under the skin of the U.S. president, which in response, he's then gone ahead and canceled the ongoing tariff trade talks between Canada and the U.S., between Ottawa and Washington. In the meantime, out west, the Premier of British Columbia says his province has halted plans for a series of anti-tariff ads aimed at American audiences. BC Premier David Eby arguing the shift in strategy is to align the fight against tariffs with the feds, with Ottawa. Here's more from the Premier of Ontario and the Premier of British Columbia.
I'd never apologize to Donald Trump. Donald Trump's trying to destroy our province, destroy our country, steal manufacturing jobs and auto sector jobs.
We committed to the federal government that when the time comes to be speaking directly to Americans, we'll do it in partnership with them. We will not be running the ads by ourselves. We'll make sure that we're in line with strategy going forward.
So you heard the Ontario Premier there still defiant despite the impact of the ads in the short term, in the immediacy, meaning that the trade talks between Canada and the U.S. have been at a standstill. For its perspective, BC, of course, greatly impacted by the tariffs on softwood lumber, Nathan.
Also, Scott, the U.S. Supreme Court will begin hearing arguments about the use of tariffs tomorrow. Could the court's decision impact Canada?
Yeah, all eyes on the U.S. Supreme Court, and the decision could have global implications and also significant impact here in Canada. So the Supreme Court will specifically hear arguments on the fate of Trump's so-called Liberation Day tariffs. Those were announced back in the spring to great fanfare outside the White House, and also the fentanyl-specific tariffs imposed on Canada that Trump has invoked national emergency powers specifically, to combat the fentanyl that he claims is flooding across our borders into the U.S. And so that is what the Supreme Court will be hearing arguments on beginning tomorrow. However, bottom line for the Canadian economy, it won't impact all tariffs imposed on this country, and that's bad news for the industries, of course, forced to pay the targeted tariffs that are currently hammering Canada's steel sector, aluminum, autos, copper, and lumber. As I mentioned, a huge detriment to the province of British Columbia. Those will remain, despite what the decision might be from the U.S. Supreme Court. As I mentioned, those hearings begin tomorrow with the Trump administration describing the hearings as a matter of national security, Nathan.
All right, CTV Scott Hurst in the CTV National Newsroom. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan.
Today is a big day for voters in the U.S. as there are 3 significant elections being held. Voters in New York City will be choosing their next mayor, where Democratic mayoral nominee Zohran Mamdani is facing off against former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. Cuomo was recently endorsed by U.S. President Donald Trump. Meanwhile, voters in New Jersey and Virginia will be choosing their next governors, and voters in California will be deciding on an initiative to redraw the state's congressional districts.
Former U.S. Vice President Dick Cheney has died at the age of 84. Cheney served as vice president under George W. Bush, defense secretary under his father, George H.W. Bush, and as White House chief of staff for President Gerald Ford. A leading advocate for the invasion of Iraq, Cheney was one of the most powerful and polarizing vice presidents in American history. In his later years, he became a vocal critic of President Trump. A family spokesperson says Cheney died Monday night of complications of pneumonia and cardiac and vascular disease. To other news, the original Santa Claus parade is set to return to city streets for its 121st year later this month.
Today, we got a sneak preview at all the hard work happening behind the scenes, and our Janice Golding joins us live with a peek. Janice.
Hi, Michelle. Yes, we are right now live in Santa's secret workshop where his helpers have given us a little sneak peek at what's to come in this year's parade. And those are the students at De La Salle College giving us their rendition of Deck the Halls. It's the 121st edition of the beloved parade, which sees about 750,000 people line city streets. The original Santa Claus parade has been a cherished tradition in the city since 1905. The parade is held annually on the 3rd Sunday of November in Toronto, with more than 24 handcrafted floats, 18 marching bands, and thousands of marchers who take to the streets along a nearly 6.5-kilometer parade route through the downtown core.
That the gift of Christmas or any season is kindness. That's what we're looking for from all people. It's not what you get, it's what you can give.
The holiday season is for everyone. Everyone, please come out and join us.
I think what's incredible is that, you know, a large city feels a bit like a small town for a day, and it brings, you know, friends, family together. People from around the GTA and even from outside of the province come to Toronto to enjoy it.
The parade starts at 12:30 on Sunday, November 23rd at Christie Pitts, winds its way through the downtown core past Queen's Park, finally ending at St. Lawrence Market. Reporting live, I'm Janice Golding. Now back to the desk.
Thank you, Janice. And hey, today's weather would have been perfect for a parade. Hopefully we can get something similar in a couple of weeks. Today's high, 13 degrees, nice and comfortable. You know, we're getting to that point in the season where we're going to struggle to make it into the teens. So you have to take advantage of a day like this, especially with loads of sunshine. Our average high this time of year is 9 degrees. And so far, Thunder Bay is the provincial cold spot at -4. We're going to take you through the forecast. We've got alternating days of rain and sun in store. And then this weekend, the chance of some mixing. Details after this.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
A gallery in Yorkville has a new free exhibit that brings together a unique combination of art, Star Wars, and fashion. CTV's Jessica Smith joins us live now with a preview. Quite the mélange, Jessica.
It truly is, and Michelle, you have to really come down to see it to believe it. This exhibition is so cool, and it has so many different pieces, but there's definitely a standout. We are down here at the Tagliatella Galleries. Alan, talk to me about, first of all, the statues beside you and who this artist is, because when I first saw it online, I'm like, wait, they're real life, like life-size statues.
This is an artist, a Canadian artist that goes under the name of Sticky Peaches. He's an artist with global recognition. And what you're looking at right now is a project that it's been 3 years in the making. He immortalized one of his images that he started pasting on the streets of Montreal 15 years ago. And what you see here is two characters that are carved out of one block of marble.
That seems like an incredible feat. Where did the marble come from?
So the marble comes from Carrara in Italy, and we actually had the pleasure to work in this project with SIOT, and they help us getting access to the marble quarries in Italy. And this was like an incredible experience because you feel like you're in the moon. If you see behind us, you can see a photograph of all the quarries. And there's a documentary that we actually made about the process of this exhibition. So after the interview, maybe we can let people know how to access that.
Absolutely, and it's not just the marble statues. You have these incredible works, there are these fantastic masks. How does this all tie in? Because I feel like there's an element of street art that you really feel when you look at these things.
Absolutely. Sticky Peaches is a street artist, and that's how he started. And so what you see in the exhibition are basically what is called behind us the street prints. These are prints that he works in the studio and then he goes on the street and we paste them in random places that inspire him. We also have originals on canvas that use a lot of different types of plywood and crushed tiles. So it's really mixed media. But what's interesting about this particular exhibition, to your point, is that he started on the streets and he's really rough. And then you contrast that to his biggest work yet, which is this beautiful sculpture in marble.
It brings together kind of the refined and the street art. Alan, thank you so much. You guys have to come down and see it. It is my favorite price, which is free to come see this. So make sure you come on down. It's here till the end of November. Right now, I'm going to send things back inside to the studio.
All right. Thank you, Jess. That looks pretty cool. So much going on as we kind of get back to normal, get adjusted to this time change, and so, no Blue Jays, etc.
No, yeah, we're moving on.
We're moving on.
But I think what was nice with the time change, especially on a sunny day, you get so much light in the morning, which adds a spring to your step. I think a lot of people are soaking up the sunshine. And temperature-wise for November, this isn't bad.
This is great, actually, in my opinion. Teen temperatures, why not? And I know we had a really lovely October for the most part, with a couple of exceptions, but so far November is off to a pretty decent start. As we make our way through the next 7 days, though, you're going to notice a few changes. It might start to look and feel a little more like winter at times. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. This, however, does not say winter to me. We have golfers still out in this first week of November. How lovely does that look? Nice day. The leaves are becoming a little more muted out there, but the greens still look great. On a day like this with the sun shining, you do want to get outside and take advantage, because conditions are going to change a little bit as we make our way through the next little bit here. It is 13 degrees this hour. It's 15 in Windsor, Ontario. Not bad in Wyerton, Muskoka, and Ottawa either. 11 degrees at this time. Let's take you to this evening. This is around 8 o'clock at night. Temperature will be about 10 degrees. Of course, the sun will have set. Sunset time tonight, about 5:05. And then overnight tonight, this is pretty mild for this time of year for an overnight low. In fact, this is closer where we should be for a daytime high. 8 degrees is what we're forecasting. It is going to be a little cooler, of course, in places like Peterborough, Kingston, and Bancroft. And then tomorrow, Still mild, but condition-wise, things are going to change. So we've got some periods of rain in the forecast. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Winds once again coming from the west, and they could be a little bit breezy once more. There's a look at our forecast highs right across southern Ontario. For the most part, we're talking double digits the closer you get to the shores of Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. Areas a little further north and east, though, a single-digit temperature kind of day. So we're still dealing with some gusty winds. We will again into tomorrow afternoon. Look at this, maybe gusts close to 60 kilometers per hour. Then things are going to ease once more as we head into the day on Thursday, which you guessed it, after some rain tomorrow, we're going to be back into some sunshine. Here's our current satellite and radar. High pressure is influencing how the day shapes up, but we've got another low pressure system developing, and this one brings us periods of rain here in the GTA, but the possibility of some snow or some mixing for areas at a higher elevation north and east of here once again. So the timing of the rain's arrival, likely late morning, continuing into the early part of the afternoon, perhaps another shot of rain into your Wednesday evening. Notice how we start to get some lake effect bands of rain happening as we progress through the day on Thursday. Thursday, though, as mentioned for Toronto specifically, is going to be a pretty decent day. And then we take you into Friday and the weekend where things become unsettled once again. Showers, maybe periods of rain for Friday, mostly cloudy skies. Let's talk temperatures, single-digit highs for both Saturday and Sunday, overnight lows close to freezing. So that could result in some mixed precipitation, maybe some wet flurries following us into the day on Monday as well. That's the weather for now. Michelle, I'll send it over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. The Toronto Tempo have introduced their head coach as the team gets ready to hit the court next year.
And the new bench boss already has championship experience. CTV's Sean Leathong joins us live now with more on who's taking the reins of Toronto's WNBA franchise. This is exciting, Sean.
It certainly is, Nathan and Michelle. Sandy Brondello brings so much to Toronto. She is exactly who they would have wanted. She was a WNBA head coach champion just in 2024 with the New York Liberty and back in 2014 as well. She's also a former player, 27 years of experience in a league that's just turning 30 years old. So Toronto Tempo has certainly made a statement today with their announcement. Now, she's also the coach of the Australian national team that has medaled in a number of Olympics as well. So there's so much pedigree that comes to the Toronto Tempo from this, that as they begin to build their team from the ground up, she talked about exactly what this means for her.
To build a team from the ground up, that really excited me. As Monica said, I've won 2 championships. You know, I've been to the playoffs every single year, so there's no pressure coming into this new season. But that really excites me, the challenge that we have ahead of us, and to do it in another country really excites me. I mean, the team is the Toronto Tempo, but I know it's going to be a Canadian team. And obviously I am from Australia, so we're both from the Commonwealth. And Australians and Canadians, what I do know, they have so much passion for sport, and I know that they're going to really support us.
All right, that was CTV's Sean Leathong. Thank you. Now, the Raptors will be looking for a third straight win when they host the Milwaukee Bucks tonight.
Great addition.
Kidding me! Rising up on the offensive rebound.
The team's coming off a 117-104 victory over the Memphis Grizzlies on Sunday. Tip-off for tonight's game at Scotiabank Arena is set for just after 7:30.
And still to come on CTV News at noon, a shortage of prescription painkillers is now set to last into the new year. We'll have those details when we return.
Alberta's government is facing backlash over a program requiring people to pay for a COVID-19 vaccination.
It comes as supply chain issues are creating a vaccine shortage. CTV's Kathy Lee has the details.
This box and one other are all that's left of the Pfizer COVID vaccine in this Edmonton pharmacy.
On average, it's always 4 to 5 people every day asking for the vaccine.
With demand outstripping supply,
we have to turn them away.
A shortage of the shot also happening at various locations, including this one in Calgary.
We have no transparency right now into the supply chain, so we have no idea when more vaccine will be coming or how much we'll get.
As part of the province's new COVID-19 immunization program, most Albertans have to pay at least $100 for the shot, except for those deemed high risk, including healthcare workers. Pharmacies get their vaccines from Pfizer Canada. The company says due to increased demand, it has implemented temporary allocation measures to help manage supply and ensure equitable distribution across pharmacies and wholesalers, and that additional inventory is expected soon. Some haven't had issues getting the vaccine.
Pharmacists had said to me, I have a limited number of COVID shots. Would you like to get one? I'll put your name on the list. I feel lucky, that I was able to get it.
Others faced some challenges.
We were told that we would have to wait to be put on the wait list.
Albertans can also go to public health clinics run by the government to pay for their shot, but some say the wait is long, and others, like this man, say the process is frustrating.
We've had to go back and forth through ill-defined processes and dealing with staff at the public health care clinics that don't know what's going on.
The government-run immunization program primarily administers the Moderna vaccine, and the province confirms there is no shortage and that it doesn't play a role in private procurement or distribution. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
A shortage of prescription painkillers caused by manufacturing disruptions is expected to continue into the new year. Originally, the shortage of drugs containing acetaminophen with oxycodone, including Percocet, was supposed to last until the fall. However, the Canadian Pharmacists Association says medications with codeine, like Tylenol 3, are back in stock, but supply remains limited for Tylenol 2 and 4. The association says other pain medications are being prescribed as alternatives.
Still to come, author Robert Munch will be donating his personal archives to the Guelph Public Library. We'll have the details when we come back.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
A local organization working to provide nutrition for kids in the Kitchener-Waterloo region is taking a new step.
Food for Kids Waterloo region has moved to a larger facility as it works to meet growing demand. CTV's Spencer Turcotte reports.
And it's going to go around to the other side.
As the need to fill children's bellies grows, Food for Kids Waterloo region has had to grow along with it.
In an effort to reach our strategic objective by June 2028, we're going to serve 2,250 deserving children in Kitchener-Waterloo, which includes Cambridge, Wilmot, Woolwich, Kitchener, and Waterloo. And in order to do that, we need space.
We pack 3 meals and 3 snacks for each day that a child is not in school.
So they've moved from their old location to the new spot at 300 Trillium Drive in Kitchener.
We know that approximately 4,000 children in the region need our supports, and right now that's probably close to 6,000.
The nonprofit charitable organization serves food insecure children ages 1 through 14 outside the classroom of 126 local elementary schools. That's 170 days of the year between breaks, holidays, and the summer.
Currently 257 children on that wait list, and we have room and the space in order to help.
About 50% of the children in our program have cultural, dietary, or allergy restrictions.
Staff say the new space will allow them to get and store food at a higher rate now that they have sufficient room for it.
We have enough food in the world to ensure that children are fed. It's an access problem, and we need to do better to partner together and find ways to solve for that, to meet that need.
The new facility is only part of the equation. Financial and food donations certainly help.
These kids deserve the best part of every one of us in whatever way that we can give. So this is a dream come true, that we have more space to be able to serve these deserving children.
Spencer Turcotte, CTV News, Kitchener.
And children's author Robert Munch will be donating his personal archives to the Guelph Public Library. Representatives for the library say the collection will include original drafts of his stories, notes from publishers, letters from fans, photographs, and more than 75 published picture books from his 40-year career. The collection will be added to the library's archive at its new central location, which is set to open in 2027. In 2021, Munch announced he'd been diagnosed with dementia. dementia. In September, he also detailed his decision to apply for a medical assistance in dying in a New York Times profile.
People magazine has named actor Jonathan Bailey the sexiest man alive for 2025. Bailey's selection was announced last night on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. Bailey called his selection the honor of a lifetime as well as completely absurd. The 37-year-old is best known for his role on Netflix's Bridgerton as well as Prince Fiero in Wicked. Bailey will be on the cover of People magazine, set to hit shelves on Friday. Well, It, the popular novel by Stephen King, has now inspired a new TV series.
The stars of the production are a brother and sister duo from Quebec. CTV's Anastasia Dextrian has the story.
Those familiar with It by Stephen King know the red balloon as a symbol of fright. But for this family, it's a sign of stardom.
It's an honor to be part of this universe.
Jack Legault began acting at age 4. He started out as an extra, then went on to voice Slippy in the animated series Interstellar Ella. His sister Matilda followed in his footsteps, booking shows like Ginny and Georgia. The two were eventually called for the cast of the new HBO series, It, Welcome to Derry.
I heard voices in the pipes. I thought it was just going to be a little spooky thing, maybe some jump scares. Because I've never heard of it. I was really young. I was only about 8.
It tells the backstory of Pennywise the Clown, with the Legaults as brother and sister Phil and Susie Malkin. Since the show is set in 1962 Maine, Jack says a lot of preparation went into playing his character.
Every morning, Dad would wake us up to 60s music, like Soulja Boy, not the rap one, but yeah. Yeah, I looked at some of the movies he might have watched, learned about airplanes, and it really was not that hard to act like a total geek and sarcastic, funny guy.
It's a testament to how grounded these budding stars are. When the cameras aren't rolling, the siblings are in Ormstown at their family farm or in school. It was thanks to on-set tutors that they were able to be in Toronto for nearly 2 months of filming. But the family says they're grateful to be able to pursue acting while maintaining a sense of peace.
Nowadays, we do self-tapes, so in our basement we have a whole setup. We've painted the wall white, which is a really nice neutral color. And we film it, and we got one of the parents or one of the siblings reading behind the camera. And yeah, we just give it our all, and it's nice because it's friendly faces behind the camera instead of strangers.
Whether at home or on set, the Legaults say it's a family affair. As for what's next, Matilda's eyeing a lead role, and Jack hopes the next call will come from the DC universe. Anastasia Dextrian, CTV News.
Coming up on CTV News at noon, making sure Christmas dessert is served. We'll have more on the St. John's Pudding Factory, which has been in operation for more than 7 decades. It's still early November, but volunteers at a Kitchener church are already working hard to make sure dessert is ready for Christmas.
The St. John's Pudding Factory has been operating for more than 75 years, and as CTV's Krista Simpson tells us, it shows no signs of slowing down.
A well-oiled assembly line, measuring the ingredients for Christmas pudding, mixing for 5 minutes straight, then filling the cans and tamping them down, covering the tops before they go into the steamer for 4 hours. The St. John's Pudding Factory has been doing this for decades.
This is the 76th year of the Pudding Factory. The Pudding Factory began in 1949.
This year's team made up of 40 or more volunteers. Many are from the Church of St. John the Evangelist, though anyone is welcome. Jackie Dunbar comes 2.5 hours from her home in Port Elgin to help.
We came to this church when I lived in Kitchener, and I loved the people. You see the same people year after year.
Absent, though, Mindy Hurley, who volunteered with the factory since its start. She passed away shortly after her 100th birthday.
We're thinking of her because she was such a lively, vivid presence in the church.
She did it forever, and she's sorely missed.
While making pudding is hard work, the volunteers say doing it together is what keeps them coming back.
The camaraderie is great. Of course, the making something that generates income both for the church and for outreach projects that's important.
The Pudding Factory is the church's largest fundraiser, supporting its ministries as well as other charities.
This year, volunteers will make about 900 pounds of pudding.
That's less than the 3,500 pounds of pudding the factory would produce in its heyday 20 or 30 years ago. But the team is grateful that there's still strong demand.
Happily for us, there is still a market. People still love their puddings. We're still going, and it's a lot of fun.
It's just great, and I hope it will continue for the next 100 years.
Those who ordered puddings can pick them up at the church this weekend, with extras available for sale as well, and samples for those interested in tasting this tradition.
It has such a rich, multifaceted flavor that very few foods have these days.
Even those that don't like Christmas pudding, they love this Christmas pudding.
I steam my pudding, I douse it in brandy, I set it aflame, and then serve it with hard sauce. Delicious.
Krista Simpson, CTV News, Kitchener.
You know, we have to try that.
Yeah, you've tried it, Lindsay.
I have tried that in Kitchener, in fact, at that very location.
Oh, I love that. It's a lovely tradition, and in keeping with the November tradition, we've kind of got some nice days this week and some soggy November-y days.
And not only that, but we're starting to talk for the first time about the chance of mixed precipitation here in the GTA. Not quite yet, but an early look at your weekend shows that possibility. First, though, let's take you through overnight tonight. Mild, 8 degrees, partly cloudy skies, and still a little breezy. Tomorrow, we're going to get back into some wet weather. It looks to begin by about mid to late morning and then continue on and off through the afternoon. It's not a washout of a day. Cooler air is coming as we make our way through the weekend, but even more so into the early part of next week. Let's take one more look at your 7-day forecast. So this paints a pretty good picture. Alternating conditions over the next couple of days here. Sunny skies followed by some rain. This weekend, though, is mostly cloudy and cool. Daytime highs Saturday and Sunday in the single digits. Overnight lows near freezing. Look at Monday, a daytime high of maybe only 2 degrees. And that day, a few raindrops could change over to some wet snowflakes. It's something we're going to keep an eye on through the long range. Nathan and Michelle.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. And that is CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great afternoon.